Hello everybody and welcome back here to the ESL 1 Cologne offline qualifiers held in these lovely studios in Katowice. Starting to get to the pointy end of things here today with only a couple matches left to go. And this next one's going to be quite interesting. Now they're playing backstage, so we can't do all the pomp and circumstance of bringing them up here just yet. But of course the first of our teams is going to be Gambit Gaming, who qualified by being present at the MLG Columbus Major. And they obviously beat Envious at that tournament, which is obviously the start of their slight downward slide. But they're here with Space coming in for Waylander, who we've already talked about today. He's moved on briefly to another team, of course. We saw him earlier on. And their opponent is going to be OpTic, of course. They did take out the America's Minor. They played Nuke. I hope we're going to see it again soon, but with the way this video works, you never know. All right, Alex, take it away. I've done enough talking, mate. Bring us into this one. Tell us what it's all about.
Thanks very much, old mate Mitch. He taught me that one. Apparently that means something. Old
Really?
mate, that's what Australians say. I heard Renegade saying it on the bus as well. Eventually, I'll get some Australian tweeting me, telling me that I've used it wrong. Old mate Mitch. But yeah, fingers crossed, Nuke potentially could show up just because both these teams have showed a bit of a preference for it already. Vince is joining us on the desk for the first time. Hey, dude.
Hey, old mate.
Old mate Mitch.
Well,
old mate Mitch, old mate Vince, whatever you want to say. But anyway, moving into the game and moving into what is essentially going to be a very intriguing matchup because OpTic have recently, and you've seen the community and various analysts suggesting that OpTic are quickly rising through the ranks in North America, almost contending for that top NA team slot. What is your opinion first, Vendetta, on OpTic and their current form?
I'd agree. Ever since they got Mixwell, ever since they actually started practicing, because that was apparently a bit of an issue with their old lineup, as soon as they got down to it and started practicing, they've been showing really good signs. So for me, yeah, definitely they can contend to for that #1 spot in NA, but obviously like qualifying for a major would be a pretty good step in that direction.
And Vince, then, just on the other side of the spectrum, Gambit. Have you seen much of these guys? I mean, all I remember primarily of Hooch, and I know, of course, he's performed and stuff, but I just remember how loud this man is when he is on a stage. So we'll get to see that later on this week.
Well, obviously, we've seen a lot of these guys, likes of Hellraisers, before. Yeah. They've been around the block multiple times. In terms of Gambit, they've really only played against like Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4 teams. They've struggled with Hellraisers quite a lot recently, so there's not a lot of results to go off. But this has the makings of actually being a really close game, I think. I'll be very interested to see how the veto comes down, because one of the strongest maps for OpTic is an insta-veto from the side of Gambit. It's overpass. It always gets vetoed. So.
Well, interestingly enough, actually, these players have been ready for some time, so we will make this quite a hasty process. And you do talk of the veto. We'll put that up on your screens quite quickly. And I'll let you two kind of dissect this amongst yourselves. Dust2 gone. You've already said overpass is an insta-ban as well. I'm intrigued to know what actually does get left. I'm honestly crossing all my fingers and toes that we get to see Nuke at some point over the course of these next 4 days.
It could very well happen here. I guess it might be a tiny bit volatile of a map for teams to go into, especially with it being the first map. You kind of want to start off your tournament,
of course,
with the safest way possible. But so far, bans make sense. Dust2 is a insta-veto for OpTic. Overpass the same for Gambit. Nuke getting taken away, sadly. And that probably just, well, everybody's been talking about that, the fact that OpTic might actually be one of those few teams that practice Nuke, so it makes sense for Gambit to not chance it. Cash being taken away, again, probably just, well, it feels like a safety pick for OpTic more than anything else in this kind of situation. They just don't want to risk anything.
I mean, isn't that another instance of a North American team banning away Cash, which is something we usually kind of say as the home map?
Yeah, the go-to map, but it is one of the most played maps for Gambit.
Sure.
So again, you're kind of just hedging your bets and hoping that that's going to be the better way to go about it. So banning away strengths from Gambit is more than taking away or I guess trusting your best maps in that sense.
You can see they were taking a long time with the last ban, because Train's actually mapped that both teams enjoy as well.
Yeah.
So it really was a toss-up between Train and Cobblestone at the end. Cobblestone, I actually think, will lend credence to this being incredibly close. I think this could even be going towards 16-14 territory. I can't really determine between two teams right now.
And they have got some players that have caught our eye in the past. I mean, the fact that we got Andrew and Mao, some of the old Hellraisers boys as well. We know how far they can push, especially in Pro League where they missed by a Nats wing. It was so close to making it to the Pro League finals. We know these are competent players. I got told off. It's not Mo. It's not Mao. It's Mo. Right? Yeah. I always butcher that. I've always been told off for that, and that's why I'm here instead of where the casters are. But no. Anyway, the casters are warming up. So are the players. I'm going to probe you guys for predictions. You've already kind of suggested where you're taking this one, Vince. You're thinking 16-14, very kind of much a coin flip, would you say?
Very difficult for me to call, but I may just edge with OpTic. Just about.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning the OpTic way as well. Playing decent on Cobble so far, and they are the team in better form. Gambit as well. They don't have the Doja of old, and I think if they're gonna beat OpTic, they're gonna have to have a excellent game coming up from Mo.
Well, I mean, you know how my predictions work. It's all about who wins the knife round. So OpTic definitely going to win this one now. They've got that confidence
already
from cutting them all up and getting choice of side. It's a guaranteed OpTic win now. That's the machine guarantee. But okay, so you're both going towards OpTic then. You're believing in North America. And I would love to talk a little further about Mixwell and his presence and his influence. However, it does look like it's ready to go. So I may as well just throw it to the casters. We'll be talking about this and breaking it down when we do come back. But now it's time for a cobble. And a third cobblestone already. This is just day one. It seems like it is the map of choice currently for these best of ones. And so let's get into it.
Yeah, and it seems that we're getting a lot of cobble going on right now. It's better than Dust 2, I'm just saying.
Wow.
What,
He coming in guns
man?
blazing like
What?
Metis was previously.
He set the bar pretty high, so I have to kind of try and be mildly edgy. It's very difficult. But OpTic against Gambit. Now, finally we're seeing analysis test back in the NA team. What's going on? But it's actually warranted in this one, I feel.
It definitely is. I mean, these are two teams that are on the opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to their current form.
Yes.
I mean, when you go all the way back to the MLG major, I actually thought Gambit had a fair chance of going through the groups. I was actually predicting them to do that, just based off of their lineup and the amount of raw firepower they have. Obviously, no Waylander anymore. I don't know what happened there. He obviously left the team and is now... Not sure if it's a stand-in or is he actually playing for Flipside. I don't think anyone knows.
It's weird at the
Not
moment.
sure
Yeah,
he
it's
knows
hard
himself
to
either, does he?
Probably not.
So they've lost their swagger ever since, has to be said. On the other side, OpTic now getting to play Cobblestone as well, a map they just recently demolished NIP on.
Yes.
Down in Atlanta in E-League. So that's an intriguing prospect
It
to go
really
off of. So I'm actually probably siding with the guys on the desk and saying this should be a match for OpTic to win, but you never know. And we're going to go straight into the action, and OpTic's going to be starting on that T side. And they have decided to just go full armor.
Yep.
So what that probably indicates is that they're just going to try to use the manpower.
Choo-choo, Glock train.
Exactly. It's coming for you.
Yeah. It looks, it could be a split coming out at the moment, but again, the bomb still adapts at this point, so OpTic clearly have a plan in mind. This is not a new map to them in any way, shape or form. It's turned into what looks like quite a strong map, as you said. The NIP result certainly fresh into mind. And Mixwell having some brilliant performances recently, so I'm keeping tabs on him. I think he's a fantastic talent.
And
so,
also, I mean, pretty much everyone on that lineup has individually been performing recently, so that's a great sign ever since Mixwell made his way to the team. Now, I want to just have OpTic players two in that connector, but Dosia is going to spot him out, but not going to be able to get a kill out of it.
Yeah, Hooch was the player who already put himself in a decent enough position, but wow, he just got sent backflipped backwards by Rush. That was a bit of an easy pickup there. Now left into a 4v4. Mixwell in a fantastic spot again, but can't do much more with it. Rush will end up closing that one down. Now left in a 3v2. The T-side has decent control here. Dosia still trying to find a way to be, I guess, almost relevant to this point.
Yeah, Dosia right now is going to be in danger, and that's going to be Adrian getting that kill on Nafly because I'm 1-on-2 right now. But considering the position of the two remaining T players, this should be outright almost impossible. But Rush does make himself visible, so now there's a possibility for two 1-on-1s here. But not having a kill. He does pick up a kit though. There's a chance here, I guess, but it's going to be Daps getting the kill. And OpTic picking up that round.
That's the strangest kind of 2v1. He was just flying around then, but hey, almost worked out. Almost.
Close but no cigar.
Yeah, definitely not. But already though, nice little split. I'm surprised there was that much room given over by Gambit by drop. I guess you had what? It was Dosia watching the push towards site, and then Hooch had already pulled up. So I guess giving them enough rope to try and hang himself with, but kind of backfired.
Pistol rounds, there's like two options. Either you put a lot of emphasis in the drop room because of the close range and Glocks raining in, you know, that's going to be always tough to hold off with the USPs. Or you just leave it open and you have a backup plan on what do we do if they actually go through there. This time around it worked out for OpTic and they make that A-split work.
Yeah, and a bit of a nuke just went off by B Plateau, but no one gets really found out from it. Rush was holding pretty far back, Naf as well. So the investment not really paying off from the CT side. They read it well, it was just, you know, timing is everything at this point. And the T side still have all those mollies to clear corners with. They can run that clock relatively low and still be able to cleanly get into the sides like Stan. So that's what he's doing right there, just clearing out corners without having to take risky investments on towards peaks.
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to flush out the cockroaches from the corners. Not finding any though this time around, and again, OpTic just taking their sweet time. Still have a bunch of equipment to work with. Actually, they're going to be sending Rush on this B plateau. He's going to open up, get that first kill. So one more on this side. It's going to be Hooch behind the statue on bomb site, but I think it's going to get overwhelmed, and that is exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be 3 first kills going away with OpTic before Space manages to retaliate.
Yeah, and even then Daps picking up 2 towards Drop, really making it tough on the rotate. So even though he did end up dropping down, you know, good play from Drop. So in the end, decent 2 rounds coming for OpTic, the second being substantially cleaner than the first, but again, they can reinvest and get the Mac 10 back on Daps and just build up money.
And this is the issue, right? When you force bind to round number 2, you don't get many kills at all, so you're not able to even cause a dent into the economy of your opponent. And in the first weapon round, you're going to have to make some sacrifices in what you buy. So you're not going to have all the utility, especially we saw earlier, when you don't have the nades to hold off this B-long area. It can be hard to hold on, as we spliced, just plowing through there a bunch of times.
Don't remind me about that game. The triggering will begin again. But it looks like OpTic again just going to be putting themselves through towards B, or at least kind of toying with the idea of it. And to be fair, Gambit have been stacking it out. Daps and Staniswell can easily work out that A's pretty vacant at this point. Mixwell just going to plow through, gets absolutely wrecked to be fair. That's what you get for jumping in with an SMG. Mixwell. A little bit of a, I think that was a P250 to the face from Hooch, but aside from that, OpTic should be able to clean this one up pretty cleanly. There's a couple of players who are low, but by this point you should be able to take these fights, keep them at distance, and just try and keep this a nice clean round.
That's exactly what they managed to do. 4 alive at the end of that round, so this is now becoming the situation. I saw that Gambit having 4 spot that second round now. They will not have everything like I said previously. They have it up on Mo. It's a positive thing, but it's going to be a glass cannon. And if you can see right now, there's only going to be potentially just 1 kit in play. There you have it. It is actually in play right now. So also sees that on that Advent. It's not going to make things easier.
Yeah, and OpTic going for not a cheeky buy, but staying on the buy they had basically. They have 2 UMP still in the Mac 10. I know.
This is something kind of around where you might want to go drop, especially if the CTs are holding drop. They can really work with the UMPs in the Mac.
Or be Daps and go long.
Because why
not? To be
not?
fair, the angles are relatively close until you try and get to the site. Yeah. So in theory, you can just get long control and then chill out.
Yeah, exactly. You can take over this part of the map. You get short range battles here and then fall back and go for drop. So nothing lost yet, and they still have 2 smokes. I think 2 smokes, 3 Molotovs to work with, and still in the realm of possibilities. They're going to be Molotoving down drop right now. Mixwell and Rush are playing with the idea of pushing in there. Advent just get attacked by the Molotov a little bit, but decides to fall back, and they do leave it open, so there is room for OpTic to just go into the drop.
I like the double face as well. Rush and Mixwell playing off each other there, but down to 46 seconds and not much round. A little bit of damage has been done at least, so kind of working them away, but eventually T-Side is going to have to commit here, and so far Gambit have 4 players by B, so actually they're not pulling players elsewhere. Yeah,
and the problem is that they don't have any utility to work with really, so they're just going to have to go off of aim battles and trading effectively, and considering there's an op here on this bomb side, this should be very tricky for OpTic unless Gambit players just totally whiff their shots, but Mo, that's the wrong time to turn around, but he does turn around back, gets the kill. That's going to be trade-offs, 3-on-3, make it a 3-on-2. Daps to getting those 2 massive kills. That's going to be the B-bomb side totally open. The bomb gets planted as well.
Daps has been pretty prolific so far through drop, really creating opportunities, and there you go. Nice shot down there and gets his 4th, and AWP recovered, and they get a pretty nice upgrade, to be fair, from the UMPs and I guess the Mac 10 they had before. Staniswell going right back at it because, well, the money's going to be here, there, and everywhere for the CT side. And so far, OpTic Gaming, the tempo, the way they're coming into this is actually pretty impressive. I actually like the way they're playing it, and even though then, okay, there was maybe a little bit of, bad timing for Mo there. He looked away the worst time, didn't quite get the info, didn't quite have the angle. But then Daps as well just played perfectly coming through drop, and he's done that before. He's held rotates, made it really awkward for the CT side. So credit to Daps again. I'm more and more impressed with this guy, the way he's playing it. But now, obviously, Gambit, sod all to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I got a little bit scared when they didn't have any real utility to work with going to that B-bomb site, but they did manage to win those aim battles, and they did have Daps in drop to cause that sandwich effect, I guess you could say, in that bomb site to make it uncomfortable for the players playing the bomb site. And now we're going to have Gambit on a save once again. They have upgraded some pistols. Adrian does have an armor as well, and he's taking a bit of a peek here, B-long, but he's not going to get anything out of it. Now, 2 more CTs are making their way towards the bomb site. Spades now, lone warrior though, as his teammate goes to drop. He's going to have a battle. He gets one, but then gets taken out by Stanislav.
Yeah, and Stan's just been let off the leash. Just, you know, go get him. You've got the UMP, hunt him down. And great little upgrade. Picks up the rifle that was there with, I think, Rush at the time, so they keep it in rotation. And look at their money. It's already getting so robust here. Was it 2 players on 10k? Yeah. That's tough to come up against for Gambit, who barely got off the starting blocks now. Back on at least an AWP with armor this time for most, and maybe they have more, but more importantly, they have utility to play with here.
Yeah, well, the tough part right now is that OpTic has so much money that it's hard to force them into an eco. And you have to keep this, if you win a round, you have to keep it very clean, because you're going to be in danger of getting a reset otherwise. No utility on that, well, both sides, but CT side to hold off the attacks is very important. Now we see Gambit decides to have 4 on that B bomb side, and they're having a lot more emphasis in that drop this time around. Basically 3 players playing around that area.
It's quite curious as well. Mixwell and Rush were both sitting extremely passive, actually maybe expecting a counterplay. If you boost someone up there, they were sitting back watching that little corner you can just sit on. So again, maybe predicting a little bit of this, but then again, Mo's had a wonderful idea of holding that angle, but already Stanislaw has a fantastic shot that he needs to hit, makes the most of it eventually, does catch out Hooch. That removes it. It was lovely just above that smoke as well. And that's going to cause a bit of a split here. Now the CT's on Cobble, which is even worse, have to try and find a way back in. Mo's got an even the score at least, catching out Mixwell on the play towards B, but this is a rotate towards A.
Yeah, and this is definitely going to be tougher on the CTs, being in a 4-on-4 situation, especially on a map like Cobblestone where the rotations are very long. Daps is going to he's going to spot Dosha here, and Adrian is going to be close up from side hall. Decides to fall back, but he needs to make it work. But does have Dosha to help him out. It's going to be a 2-on-1 trade in favor of Gambit, and they are sitting at a 3-on-2 situation. It's all to do for Nafly Daps right now. The bomb is dropped in the ground. Daps is trying to make his way through to make a play right now. He's going to need to win this duel. He does not. It's going to be Mo also coming in. Dosha and Mo getting the last 2 kills, and that's going to be a rather clean one. 3 alive from Gambit, so they can get a full buy going into this. They don't have to make compromises. Those 3 remaining can buy, or 3 that survived the round can drop weapons to the 2 that lost their lives in that battle. And, well, this one still is going to be very important because Dosha and Hooch don't have any money going after buying into this round.
Yeah, I'm going to go for the quick peek through danger as well. Might be able to spot out Stanislaw at this point. No, he doesn't. Stan already going to try and hug the wall pretty much, avoid any sort of confrontation early on. He does need to be relatively careful. Mo catches him out. They can start maybe getting a little more control here. But again, Mo going to back away. He had the great spawn for very long, so why not take it at this point? But OpTic have been taking their time pretty much into these rounds until maybe the 50-second marker, then start to actually build towards something. But the rotates have been on point. They're not overcommitting to sites without actually taking the fights properly, or, you know, the smokes have been going down at the right time. This has actually been a very impressive start. But as said, once we saw Gambit now with a bit more utility, starting to have something to work with, they've fought back. So these 3 players currently posted on B, which is Dozier, Space, and Adren. You have to deal with 5 players coming their way now. Yep. Considering that the rest of Gambit can't rotate, you don't get given that info here. Now they're going to see those wall of smokes coming in. Now they're going to see the mollies. Here come the flashes, completely blind. They get backed away. Gambit now just have to wait and see what comes their way once they stop just seeing white at this point. Adren's now got players left, right, and center. It was Stanislaw to find him. A great flank from Dozier. If he lands the shots, he can only claim 1 in the end. Now it's on to Mixwell. Now look how many players are alive. Great battles found by OpTic here.
Yeah, it's a 4-2 now. Bomb is going down. Hooch and Mo probably will opt to just save these weapons because it is a very hard retake. Would be mistakes made by OpTic for this to be possible for Gambit to take it. Mo still taking the angle towards the bomb side. He's going to whip that shot. There was an opportunity there to make it into a 3-on-2, but Daps can drop. Going to get a kill on the Hooch, and also Mo solo in HP that finally decides to fall back. But nice execute from OpTic, and also something that differs from the previous time we were watching Cobblestone, or casting Cobblestone rather, is that the team making the push towards the B bomb site were actually committing to the push after the smokes went in instead of just sticking around on that B plateau. So that's the effect you can have. They just created a very quick 4-on-2 situation after plan of all as well. So perfect, but Mo getting 1 more for the go before getting down by Rush. So that's going to be that weapon out the window as well. And as we can see, Gambit right now are going to be in echo territory with their economy.
And OpTic are keeping their money so low here. Every single time that they've forced them onto kind of, I guess, pistols or very light armor and such, straight away you see someone going back in with a MAC-10 or the UMP before, and every time they've actually done really well off the back of it. And you look at the chance that Gambit have had, maybe 2 rounds where they've had full utility and a decent buy out of all of them so far. It's kind of harsh, but very nicely done by OpTic. It's more credit to them than anything. Sadly for Gambit, not just finding any breaks. They're not particularly turning any of these pistols and making them costly at this point. And well, already Mixwell going to go hunting.
He should have a fun time with this. Only one armor. It's going to be on space, and Mixwell already opening things up. He's in connector right now. Obviously, his position is known, but he's just going to get that information of seeing what's going on. And whoosh, with the perfect timing, but still not managed to get the kill somehow. Now, the last 3 remaining seats are this B bomb set, but they're just getting picked apart one by one. Nafly with 2 nice kills. Leaving just go with the Deagle. He's going to get killed by Stanislav as well. And that's going to be a quick 7-1 scoreline in favor of OpTic.
And if we compare, let's say, how we watched other teams approach that, say, even on against a team who's on an eco, I like the way Naf played it. Everyone else kind of played through, actually played the site. He was the only player left on platform, just making sure if anyone tried to peek out on that timing, he was there waiting, and eventually it paid off. And you don't see people losing out pistols. But then again, shotguns are here now. So going by with the last couple of games, I'm not going to...
Probably the most effective weapon of the round.
Yeah, why not? And it makes you so much money. That's the crazy thing. But my hatred aside for shotguns, this is a good spot for Adren. If that nade finds a decent connection towards Rush, but look how instantly they flex off the back of it. They see maybe a weakness, they see an opportunity, but they walk right into the sights. I believe that was Spaze in the end, supported by Mixwell taking Stanislav Lord down. What was that?
Well, OpTic trying to just pop flash into the B bomb side, but they got clocked up in that choke point coming in. Space with another kill. Dap's been the last one alive. Down to 1-on-2. Is he going to make it a 1-on-1? No. Space with a kill. And that's going to be round number 2 going to way of Gambit. Face off of that rush into B, not working out for OpTic.
Yeah, Dep's not quite getting it done this time. To be fair.
This is where they got clocked up here.
That sucks.
And then, yeah, just a pile up basically.
Yeah. You can see them trying to work with the back of it, and Rush, a player that I hadn't really mentioned too much. Daps was the guy coming to my, to my eyes, playing through drop and such. But actually, Rush is playing extremely well. 12-4 so far, and to be fair, I think everyone in OpTic's just playing well. Yeah. No one's just not pulling their weight. They're all just doing their job at this point. And sadly for Gambit, you could argue, sure, this is still a T-sided-ish map.
Yeah, it is definitely.
But 2-7, the way they're losing these rounds isn't pretty, really.
No, I mean, there's been a couple where it's been an actual contest for the round, but for the most part, it's been OpTic dictating the plays, and now finally have weapons on Gambit, and the push coming into the short rush gets the opening kill on Dosha. He's gone out of this round, and that's going to be that area of the map lost. A lot of opportunities to be had from drop. Hooch might be able to get Stan. No, he's not. Stan makes a 90-degree switch there, gets the kill. It's going to be a 5-on-3 opportunity now for OpTic.
Well, they're keeping at it, just going straight through smoke. Why not, Mixwell? Just keep at it.
Yeah.
Mo and Adren kind of left tail between legs. At least Adren's going to try and do something, but the bomb's pretty far away, but can't really make much more. And Mo already kind of looked dejected to this round, just like, well, what's the point?
Again, a round where OpTic doesn't really need to do anything to make it a 4-on-1 situation. I mean, just based off of the picks they managed to create. And that's how the situation is going to end. Mo just basically trying to stay alive. We're surely not going to see another ninja defuse, are we? Well, Rush is making sure that's not happening. Gets the kill. Another one on the board. And that's going to be economy destroyed for Gambit. They are not looking good right now. They are pretty much in double eco territory with their economy.
The amount of every single time they've never been able to string rounds together. Basically, it's always these resets. And T-sides enjoy that. Mixwell again back on the Mac 10, of course. Can't really blame him.
It's hard.
It sucks. It really does.
Sucks
it's just like
with your Gambit right now.
It really does.
Oh well.
Because there's nothing you can do. Like, you're on a map already that's quite difficult as a CT team. So if your money's ruined already, you're just kind of stuck there going, well, we're back on a pistol.
I'm not a great fan of buying the second round, just because if you don't have an actual game plan, if you have that insane strat to throw at me, then yeah, cool. I mean, go for it. But if your strategy is just to have 3B and 2A and then YOLO, I'm not a great fan. And that's going to put you in such a horrible situation when it comes to the first weapon round. And that right now, OpTic has been just flying away with it. Obviously, in the other rounds as well, as we see a slaughter going on right now. Not much to talk about, so we're just going to talk about the game in general. Yeah, I mean, it's the numbers have not favored Gambit, I don't think, in a single round. I mean, it's either been I think at best, a 5-on-4 situation. It's still a very doable one for Gambit, but for the most part, it's been a 4-on-5 or a 4-on-4 situation. And like I said in this map, the rotation times are very, very long, so it's always going to be hard for the CTs.
So, do you call a timeout if you're Gambit?
I mean, they should have already done that.
Yeah, I know that obviously their money's been pretty trashed. It's been pretty much ruined in quite a harsh way, but there has to be an answer. There has to be a way back in for this. But at 2 to 9, as you said, like it might be a little too far here because they just don't seem to be coming up with answers. They're pretty much just playing the same. Just maybe going, oh, well, don't worry, we'll just hit the shots this time because that's clearly what's been the issue, which hasn't really been the main problem. Let's be honest here. OpTic are outplaying them on a lot of levels at this point.
Exactly, they are, and sitting pretty with the scoreline as well. And they're once again just taking their sweet time of waiting for the CTs to make a move. So they are expecting a bit of a difference in the CT's defense. Right now, it's going to be again pressure applied by Mixwell, rush here and drop. Dosia not having any of it. Instead, he's going to get smoked off and just going to apparently rush through the smoke. Is he going to make it work? No, he's not. Mixwell is going to get the best of Dosia. Another 5-on-4 advantage for OpTic, and another situation where Gambit has to gamble.
And it looks like they're just starting to feed the kills towards him. Everyone wants to take the next fight. Adren's going to go right back in, but he has a decent weapon to work with, at least in that instance for a little while. He actually gets 3 in the end. Now that's given a chance towards space. They've suddenly woken up. Maybe taking a little bit of an aggressive fight was going to do the job, and there you go. Hooch suddenly gets a little bit of a flurry of fire beside him, and there we go. Gambit getting a little bit on the board. Now their money's maybe could stabilize for a whole second. Who knows if we're lucky here? Because this was the difference maker. Going in, I guess, with a Mag 7 at that point can work out. Sadly for Dosia, he just kind of got mowed over at that conjecture.
Yeah, I mean, he was, playing with faith there. Just going into the smoke, try to play the edge of the smoke. Doesn't work out for him. Goes for the spray, but Adren with the plays there. He got a 3K, 2 with the Mag 7. So definitely a shoddy working out for him, and this time we're going to see the X Factor upstairs here. Just waiting for a possibility to push in. He does that, but gets down by Rush and Mixwell, who were ready for that. Those two guys have been working that drop zone like it's their own courtyard.
There's nothing sexy about that play from Dosia then. Considering they've been actually watching that push-up every single time as well. They've been sat there holding back just in case someone did it, and they were still doing it at that point. So, kind of sucks to be Dosia. He is actually having an incredibly rough time through drop. It's whether he's holding it close, hitting passive, he's just seemingly not having a good time. Adren's bailed him out once, but it's the way of drop. It's not a nice place to play, to be fair. It can be incredibly tough to hold, but still, at this point, you'd hope that maybe he could find a little more out of it. But look at this placing. Already, OpTic, okay, I'm not too sure about this B play. Maybe they stacked it. If they're willing to put an additional player towards drop to boost up Dosia, where do we head next? Okay, well, maybe we look towards A.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these rounds have ended in B bomb site, so they are just making their way through A long, trying to get the information. They have all 4, or rather all 5 members coming through, and they're just not going to even set anything. Just going to be Molotov towards the connector, and then just plow through and rush with the kill on the Hooch. No, here in the back side, it's going to be able to surprise anyone. No, he's not. The trades come in, though, and the trades are going in the favor of OpTic.
This is like a quick game.
This definitely seems like it's going to be a quick game, that's for sure.
That makes up for all that exciting overtime and all that, glorious CS. Now it's getting a nice, good thrashing. We'll see on the second half.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. A lot of things can happen, but I think
reckon?
this.
I'll bet you 1 bit.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean,
that must be hard for you to deal with.
We are in Poland of all places, so you should have probably gone for more. It's going to be a save here for Gambit. Space does have an armor, but everyone else pretty much fully saving. P250 for him as well, and it's easy for Mo, but don't have a lot going with them. 10-3 scoreline as well, so it is being a very one-sided affair. Mixwell and Rush, they've been around this part of the map for the better part of the whole half. They are here once again. They're working it. They're going to be making their way down, possibly. Still, kind of playing with the idea of should we or should we not. What's going on? But I mean, it seems like you're going to go for a set play here towards this B-ball. So this is exactly what I like to see against an anti-Eco. You flash out the potential CTs from all their corners. And that's going to be a clean entering into the bomb site.
Yeah, just a really nicely constructed round, pretty much. You can see the molly by Chicken Coop. It pretty much allows them very close focus points.
Yeah.
They don't need to go, oh, maybe there's one close to my left or one's here. They can instantly focus on the areas that they don't have checked out.
Exactly. Don't leave anything to faith.
Yep, and it's nice to see. After the amount of times we've seen teams losing to just ecoed out teams who stack a site, because of maybe, not just because of skill, it's more because they didn't check these sort of items. It's quite nice to see a team that's checking those boxes. So again, Rush closes down towards Adren, and another one on the board for OpTic.
It's become a part of the meta now that against potential force buy or ecos, you just use your smokes and molotovs, flashes, and plow through them into the site after using the grenades properly, because that's going to make them uncomfortable. Always, if you're going to be playing a save or a force buy, they're going to be stacking something. So, just like I said previously, flushing out the cockroaches is the name of the game with the molotovs, and then creating a wall of smokes to isolate the bomb site. So that was a clean anti-eco there from OpTic, and they are ever so close to picking up this first one here. As it's going to be either 11-4 or a 12-3 half here.
We'll see how much damage Hooch and maybe Moo can do here. Or Mo, excuse me.
Moo.
When we first saw him joining one of the teams, I think it was Hellraiser, we were like, how do we say that name? I ended up like DMing the guys like, how do I pronounce your name? And he just wrote it. I'm like, that's not helped me. That's helped me none whatsoever. But Adrian's at least going to do well here. And Mo will join in towards Naf. So that's shut down the long play here. Daps tries to make a split through mid. At least catch out Hooch. So that's going to weaken a little bit. By this point, the rotate's already come through. No one's on the lurk for OpTic. So they're going in against, well, unfavorable numbers here. And Mo's adjusted well. He's falling back towards site, creating a harder crossfire for the OpTic boys to break. So Daps going to take matters into his own hands. Plow forward, try and take clean fights. He doesn't get them. Mo's going to shut it down. And at least there's a silver lining at the very, very end of this.
What a 1 and a half has to be said. OpTic just making quick work of it, and just smart plays from them, to be honest with you. They managed to create 5-on-4s, even keeping a 4-on-4 at worst pretty much throughout the half, and that's always going to favor when you're at the T side. And that's when you group up, you go to a bomb site. If you don't have a utility, you just basically take the aim duels, go together, make sure you have the distances between the players are short enough so you can trade off effectively. Good job from OpTic.
Yeah, well, the fundamentals are certainly in place for OpTic here, but now it's time to see what Gambit can bring on that second half. But before we do, we're going to a short break. Alrighty, welcome back. Any Gambit fans? Hopefully you've had a deep breath, gone outside, just I don't know, just getting ready for the second one, because this is pretty tough to watch so far. 11-4 on the half. OpTic Gaming turning up today so far, but then, you know, T-sided, I guess you could argue, Cbble still favors that sort of style, and OpTic doing all the fundamentals. But Gambit have a shot at this, but it's a fleeting moment.
Yeah, I mean, cliches. They have to start from the first round, obviously.
Yep.
They don't
One
really
step
have
ahead of the next, you know.
And then just take it round by round. Then obviously there's a lot of skill in this team, and if they can utilize the players like Mo, for example, with that op to create openings, you never know what happens. But so far they have seemed very disconnected, and yeah, OpTic just been on a different level. But 11-4 still, it's something you can manage with if you get the first round. But we're about to find out, as it is live right now, and interesting enough,
They're all
Gambit.
going for that smoke.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of this connector smoke, so we're going to expect a push into the connector coming in from Gambit, and they have 2 Tech 9s, one with an armor as well. In fact, they're playing this B plateau instead. They've already gone out from there too, and they're pushing in the drop.
Now Stanislaw is in a good position, but he's been found out, I think, quite possibly. No, he was mollied eventually, and Gambit just easily cleans it up. And this seems like a very CIS, I guess, built way of taking this site, because every single CIS team we've seen so far has been able to do the smoke and execute very successfully towards B.
Maybe they have their own game, what's it called again? Fallen's thing, Games Academy.
Ah, yes, Fallen's thing, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's they have one of their own that we don't know about. But still, Nafly live here in a 105 situation, 104 rather, but not a whole lot is going to be happening though. That's going to be Gambit picking up on that opportunity of taking that first round and then starting the grind round by round. But what a nice little round there from Gambit. Throwing that smoke from T-spawn towards connector and then having 3 run through B long. And then I think they have 1 or 2 come through, dropping basically high fives around the drop room door and sandwich all the CTs around that area. And it worked out beautifully. 4 guys still alive at the end of the round for Gambit.
Yeah, really nice round. This is what I want to see. If Gambit even intend, even consider making a comeback into this game, that's the sort of plays I want to be seeing from these guys, and that's very, very nice to watch. So, OpTic now on the other side, though, having to just deal with the fact they're down to P250, so 5-7 in the flash from Naf. Going for the full stack towards B. Absolutely no one by A. They can get maybe a gun away or do a little bit of damage, that'd be perfectly fine, but being pretty tough already, the Mac 10 starting to tear through them. That's in the hands of Hooch. He's going to be collecting a couple of dollar bills for a day's work.
Dollar. Smart, though, by OpTic to not be investing too much in this. Even though they have a massive lead, still playing the numbers, still playing the odds. Deciding to just eco. Seems like it's going to be a clean one for Gambit, though, so that's good for their economy. Not dropping a single player, not having to rebuy any weapons. Instead, just a grenade, so already a bit of a bank being built by them. On the other hand, OpTic gets some P250s, a 5-7 as well in play, but they will have plenty to work with come that first weapon round.
Yep, they're just kind of cruising through this and accepting what's coming their way, which is perfectly fine. At the end of the day, I'd prefer teams to do that than get into that position that Gambit had to deal with, that real grind against them, and they just had to live through the fact they'll be extraordinarily poor for a good couple of rounds and never get those big buys coming through. But now looking at what obviously Gambit are working with, their buy's not ideal, but it's certainly powerful enough to break in here. And look at it, Rush, going to be forced away here. The Mac 10 again, building money. Dren doing the same with the, not so much money with the Tech 9, but still, does the job just fine. Yeah.
You're cheating, Joseph. Well, you're smoking through the smokes.
Cheat accusations by Nato Atlanta. But here comes the buy. This is going to be the interesting one. Will Gambit be... I don't know if it's brave at this point. If Adren and Dozier stick on, let's say, the UMP and the Mac 10 against a relatively well-bought team,
I mean, is
that smart?
No, it's fine. I mean, if you play a faster, if you go, like I said, in the first half, I want to see something faster. I want to see them go drop maybe, but instead they're going to be plowing towards this B long. Adden already making his way through, but he doesn't manage to get through the gap because of the smoke, so it gets delayed slightly, and he gets taken down by Stanislav. So that's going to be that attack. It stops to distract right now, but instead, though, Space and Dosia somehow make the kills happen. Just Hooch as well. So now it becomes a 3-on-2 situation all of a sudden, and it favors Gambit.
Yeah, it actually works out. I will never doubt it again. And Naf going to be trying to find an angle of work here. He knows the bomb's not planted. He actually does find one completely. A free 1v1, which is pretty rare considering the spot, but he worked around the smoke well. And now left into a 2v2. Naf's kind of isolated, though. He can't really back away from this. He still needs to be here. And hopefully he gets support. And there it is. Great stuff from the Fly coming out. 4 kills in the end, and actually playing that so perfectly that Gambit kind of just got left shattered.
Yeah, the weird thing is, like, once they had the numbers favoring them, they should have had more than one player go to the bomb site to make sure that the planter gets the bomb plant 100%. Just leave one player on that plateau and have 2 around that bomb site to make sure that none of the cities get to, you know, distract the bomb plant. And that's exactly what happened in F-Fly with big kills. And they went around that they were not exactly supposed to anymore. And, well, the situation is, though, that money for Gambit is fine, obviously, because they had such clean anti-ecos. So there's going to be an AWP for Mo and AKs for everyone else, and still a lot of grenades for them to work with as well. On the other hand, OpTic is going to be slightly pressured here, considering they only had 2 alive in that previous round.
Yeah, Gambit taking over drop for free pretty much. It seems that OpTic are paying into the second school of thinking of just leaving it free. It's just as viable.
Yeah, a lot of teams seem to be doing this just because it's so hard to hold this part of the map, because you can throw so many different flashes and molotovs and whatnot to apply pressure on that T side.
So let's see if Gambit can find anything now. They've been given a little bit of a step towards either cutting this map in half, going for a bit of a split towards A, or making it really hard to rotate out towards B, be a real nuisance there. Space could be the player trying to play that possible role. And Hooch is saying, guys, there's no one in here, I promise.
The issue is they only have 1 smoke to play with anymore, so they will have to go for the raw aim duels. So maybe have Mo be the first guy in with that AWP, trying to get the first pick and then initiate, but it seems like it's going to be Adrian there. Very close to this little gap, just waiting for the opportunity, but as I say that, it's going to be Mo. This is the only viable option they really had. He's going to check that chicken coop, and Doshi somehow snuck his way all the way to the A bomb side, which is actually clear, because 2 of the CTs playing that bomb site are down in middle.
That's a really weird place to play. It's either
20 seconds on the clock.
This could be... I don't know what's going to happen with this one. Daps could turn around and just catch it, but then again, the push could just stop towards B. But then Naf's in trouble, though. He's going to be the one kind of in pincered from left, right, and center, and while that happens, while he turns around, looks the other way, the rest of the players in Gambit make that B hit, and it works out very well. Now, Doji's going, I've had a wonderful walk throughout this map, had a great time, had a little look through their spawn, didn't find too much, found 1 player, but... You know, outside of that, I just chilled out, really. And Daps is just left scratching his head. I don't know what I don't really like that hold towards A. Just 2 players pushed up in mid. It does
Late
allow
round.
the opportunity.
Yeah, late round, don't do that. I mean, it's fine for the first minute or so, and then fall back, play the site, just to make sure this kind of a situation does not occur. But it was still the hit to the B bomb side that was the one that really sealed the deal.
Yeah.
Doshi managed to get one of the guys that was rotating from A to B. Maybe down to Daps, who is probably going to get sandwiched, but he does get a kill onto Dosha. Might be able to even survive this one here. Almost Adrian gets the kill. No, there's going to be a merry-go-round once again going on. Daps somehow managing to stay alive, and now as you can see, the money on OpTic is not pretty for sure. He'll have to go for a save round here.
Yeah, Daps then ducking and weaving as best he can, but as you said, not a great round. Ooh, okay, interesting investment into this.
I'm not really sure I agree with this. They still have plenty of rounds to work with, so is this a risk you want to really take at this point? Not entirely sure. I mean, you have a Nova, you have a Mag 7. I mean, we've seen a lot of things with those weapons recently, that's for sure. But still, considering the scoreline right now in this game, you didn't have to do this.
Yeah, they really didn't. If it's not like a last-ditch attempt, but like a close game where you have to make some sort of play out of it, sure. But as I said, there's a fair few rounds to just kind of chill through at the moment. They didn't have to go for these kind of questionable buys, but maybe they just don't allow some confidence to build a Gambit. They don't want to get them to that point. And you know, as we said, these guns do a lot of damage. There's no two ways about that. And let's see how Gambit approaches, because they haven't had much information as to what sort of buy they're coming up against at this point. They've seen pretty much no one from OpTic. They haven't heard the shotguns go. They haven't heard any difference. And if they go drop,
again, by the way,
this is kind of worrying.
Dosha has made his way inside all, but as I say that, the action is happening towards the drop, towards the B, but the bomb is actually falling back now towards the A bomb side. And it's only going to be occupied by Mixwell in middle with the 5-7, but he could actually be huge plays here as there's 3 terrorists coming his way. It's going to be Mo jumping his way to middle. And Dosha has already made his way to the bomb site. And that's pretty much a round over. And yeah, that force by definitely not working the way of OpTic at all. And that's going to be a save coming into play, and potentially Gambit finding themselves to double digits.
I just can't believe Dozier got away with doing that again, pretty much. No one checking for it. And was it Dabs who had the gun? I think he had the M4 at that point. Even when he tried to just cheat, or at least skip over towards B very early after Mixwell spawned them out rotating through up mid, he was already met there by Dozier, so it was kind of just wasted. Now Rush is going to have to sit here and just kind of grit his teeth and bear with it. Not going to get a shot off pretty much. He did end up tagging up space, but that's about it. But good stuff from Gambit in the end. Their T-side's starting to look more and more impressive, but I feel that OpTic have been making some really weird choices, if I'm honest. That you know, the double hold towards mid where they kind of ignored the fact of long. Dozier now 2 rounds, not necessarily in a row, but 2 rounds, pretty importantly, has been doing some great deals of damage there. So hopefully they address that once they go on that full buy, because as you said, that investment they made really wasn't necessary and really didn't work out at all.
No, I mean, you're up 12-8 at that point, so you don't really need to. Instead, you would have been 12-9 up and now would have had at least a reasonable buy going into this round number 22, but they're probably going to let OpTic get to double digits. Dosha working its way in middle. It's going to get tacked a little bit. This is 44 HP. Almost 70 HP actually lost to him, but he's going to fall back slightly. Mixwell still going for the battles. It's going to be Mo, though, with the helping hands to Dosha. And again, we're going to have one of the turrets here in the drop room. Gaining information. It's Hooch this time around. And just like that, 1 by 1, OpTic Gaming is going down.
Yeah, this is good stuff from Gambit.
Yeah, HP though for most
Space
Gambit.
and Dozier.
Yeah, they're barely alive anymore.
Oh, a player with a default knife. That's the weirdest thing I've seen all day. But no, Daps, Daps can actually cost Dozier his life all the time.
Well, X-God gets away with anything. And a default knife.
Dead to 12. OpTic. Money-wise, I'm going to have to just sit this one out again, it looks like. And why not? You might as well wait for a decent buy to come through.
Yeah.
Rather than go for the shotguns again.
Exactly. They could have, in the situation, that what they could have done is they could have half bought into the previous round when it was 12-8. And then saved 1, and now at this point, 12-10, they would have fully bought and had ops and everything. Well, it's going to be Nafly with the first kill on Adren. He gets an AK-47 as well. He's going to be able to make more. He gets 1 and make it 2, and Rush also chiming in, so all of a sudden we're sitting at a 5-on-2 situation in this half-buy from OpTic, and like you said, this is a bit of a joke. Well, Adren was a little bit extending it, going alone on that B-long, gets dropped, and that's the AK given away. And then Naf getting another kill as well, and Rush chiming in. So now it does get a little bit tricky. It's Dosha and Mo left in a 2-on-5.
All right, let's see how they approach this now, because this is these are the rounds that just frustrate you watching them, seeing it happen. Because Gambit to that point had seemed really focused, really ready to greet this sort of play, but then the second they stop thinking about it, there's Naf just, you know, pushing up with the deagle, already drops off the rifle towards Daps. So now Mo and Dozier, how do they approach this one? Of the flashes, bit of attention towards drop, but not going together. Mo already out on his own, going to be looking towards it, and Dozier's now joined him.
Yeah, they got to hope for some individual duels here, but not really sure if OpTic's going to give it to them though. Rush is getting a little bit naded here, down to 15 HP. Nafly just waiting for the perfect opportunity. The deagle does not work for Mo and Dosha, getting those 2 kills before Stanislav comes in, gets the kill. It's all down to Mo now, with 2 HP remaining of all things. And he's surrounded by the CT, so 20 seconds on the clock too, so there's no way he's winning this. He's going down to Apps. It's going to pick that one up. 13-10 scoreline out of a round that was never supposed to go the way of OpTic.
No, good stuff from Naf in that round. Even, you know, the deagle didn't really work out, but he still did good deals of damage with it. Still made the most of, I guess, playing Coop. You can only sit there so long without, you know, being pressured, so just good stuff. He's having a decent side now, you know, he's doing okay.
Yeah, I mean...
And his Mixwell is actually been quiet.
When you know roughly where the economy is going and you see there's no smoke coming to be long, I mean, when you add her, you don't want to push that part of the map.
The NIP smokes.
Yeah, we've seen this quite often nowadays, so let's see if they actually push the B-bomb side or if it's just going to be a fake. The smoke's coming in, and there's 2 right now towards the B-bomb side that are trying to sell a potential fake, or they're just going to be hanging around there waiting for that B-push to happen. It's actually going to be a B-push coming in. Adren once again going to be the first guy. Space here, just going to be in this plateau, but Stanislav raiding on the bomb side. He's going to open things up. 5-on-4 advantage to start things off. Here comes Gambit. They're trying to take the bomb side open, and actually OpTic is going to give it to them as well. They're falling back, and they're playing their retake. Well, when I say that though, Rush somehow decides to just go through a smoke. Dosh also chiming in with 2 kills of his own. Becomes a 2-on-3.
That wall of smoke for the T side just dissipating at the worst times, and Mixwell just going hunting, catches out Mo, and now back down to a 2v2. Okay, we've got Space and Hooch up against Mixwell and Daps. Now, both of these players were kind of expecting a bit of a rotate here. You can see Daps just waiting for that push. They want to hear that plant. They're not going to give them kills at this point. What could Hooch summon from this? He's going to join up with maybe Space here. Space already out on the site going, help me,
I
please.
think Daps heard him
He's
though.
definitely heard him stepping towards platform, so they know that this is probably still a B hit coming in. 35 seconds. Mixwell backs up. Still hearing these flashes.
There's no smoke for Gambit, so the angle right now that Mixwell has is he's gonna see them cross to the bomb side if need be. Actually, he's looking at towards the tree there, the boost, but he's not gonna find anything. The bomb gets grabbed now.
I was about to say, I wonder if they're going to check for space as quickly as they did, and they did indeed just do that. And now Hooch finds Mixwell out in the open, kind of caught with his pants down there. Dabs tries to make a quick play towards Spades, but it's going to be Spades coming up trumps in that, and eventually they put it back in. But that was a very back and forth round. That wall of smoke went up, and it all looked good. You know, they defined the site in half almost there, but as soon as it dissipated, the fights they were taking were pretty questionable, Gambit, and they brought it back so close in the end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the whole point. When you throw those smokes, you need to be super fast about getting to the bomb side because the smoke evaporate, and then it's going to be super hard to get the bomb down because that opens up so many angles the CTs might have. And Mixwell obviously taking full advantage, making those kills happen and making that round competitive. But it's going to be Gambit getting that one. And OpTic still not managing to string two rounds together. They have just only managed to get one, and they lost the one after. So that's always going to be tough when it comes to your economy. But they did win that eco. Means that they still have some bank, and they're going to be getting a healthy buy going into the next round. But Gambit is actually, they're properly in this match right now.
Yeah, they brought this one back. It went from, not sure this is going to be a good game, to actually, okay, this is exciting until they start losing guns like that. And Naf again finds space. What's going on? Gambit, you can win against fully bought rounds and teams, what? And then you lose to these sort of things? That's kind of scary, but I'm not sure who that was actually drop. I think that was Hooch just taking the gun away, so it's even harder to find for the CT side, so that's not as easily recoverable. But Rush still has a mag 7, so Adren's still got a little bit of a mountain to climb here. Very difficult corner to take that angle against, even with the rifle. And there you go, you can see the damage coming in, and it works out perfectly for Rush. He even gets a follow-up. That's 2 back-to-back. AWP now in hand. Gets challenge instantly from Hooch, though. So maybe there is still a god, Natu. Don't shake your head like that. I can see it, they can't.
Yeah,
like,
what are we
no.
watching, Pansy? I'm speechless right now. It's just dying one by one, as Hooch is going to decide to stand his live as well, and not pretty. I mean, I want to see teams go together when you're playing a potential eco against a potential eco, then just go together, please. Just make sure you're at least trading kills. Use the grenades you have to make it uncomfortable for the defenders. Doesn't matter if there's a 5-man stacking people on side. Don't care. Just make sure you create a wall of smokes. You use the Molotovs to all the potential little corners that the CTs might be looming in, and then you flash and you plow in together. But instead, Gambit decides to die one by one, and that's going to be the second anti-eco they've lost in this half.
Exactly.
So not great for them.
And you could say you're overreacting, but you're definitely not, because that's 2 out of the 3 rounds that they've currently got on this side were on ecos. But now on a buy, of course Gambit's probably going to turn up now. They're probably going to remember how to play the defaults here and take that side real cleanly. But let's see if that comes through as 4 players now trying to make their approach towards a Nap, Stannis and Daps ready and waiting. Rush finds a Dren, but not sure how much they can deal with on this side. Already taking a lot of damage here. Dozier and Mo going to be making the most of it. Down to a 3v2. Nap on 3 HP. Rush still sitting pretty, but only with a mag, so desperate to pick up the gun, like, please,
Give it to me.
Short arm syndrome. There we go. Rush gets it and gets away. But yeah, with Nap being so low in this one's pretty much done for. They're out of there with those guns.
What a weird Counter-Strike match we're witnessing here right now. I mean, OpTic only managed to win.
My simple little brain now too.
Well, yeah.
You're meant to say no. Don't just laugh like yes.
No, I mean, come on. Gotta run with it. Russian Nafly saving these weapons they still have, and somehow they don't manage to win rounds where they actually have weaponry. Right choice from Gambit, obviously, getting that first pick on. I can't remember who it was, but one of the OpTic players, and then just basically running with it. And it so happens that was the only defender on that A-bomb site. And then they trade off. Good for themselves. They get the bomb side, and that's pretty much all there was to it. And yet again, it's going to be a situation where OpTic doesn't have a lot of money, but they seem to be investing into this one because there was Rush with 7K. It's going to need an AWP, and so at least they have 4 rifles right now in play. That's what they're going to have as well. No, they have 5 rifles. Okay, so it's still a reasonable buy. Let's see if they can actually win an actual buy round here.
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Can they actually convert this into a proper round? But 12-14, OpTic still with the upper hand, surprisingly. Excuse me. And we are seeing a double boost coming up here. So a little bit of a switch up for OpTic on their CT side. But Gambit taking their time on this, but Dren's going to get spotted out. All three make the peek at the same time, get the info, but...
Look at this. Hooch already making his way to drop. He noticed there's 3 players, or communication probably from the team, to say that there's 3 towards that plateau. Dosha gets a kill. Hooch should have got a kill. Didn't get one. Makes a lot of damage, and here comes the push from Gambit once again towards the bomb site. Daps in a bit of an uncomfortable situation.
Daps
still managed to get the 2 kills. I don't know how. Now it becomes a 2-on-2 situation. Both CTs are out of position. This A side right now is just wide open. Dosha and Adrian be the last remaining from Gambit. Health pretty much similar for both teams, and now the problem for the CTs is the fact that the positioning for the Ts should be favoring them, but it's going to be all up to Nafly right now. It's coming through the middle, but is he going to anticipate Mr. Dosha being close to the wall here to the side hall?
Well, the crossfire works against Naf in this. He can't really win this out, but actually no one's checking it, so Adren just kind of left out in the open. Now it's down to Dozier watching the cross. Both players line up there, but he only managed to find Naf on the first try. Goes back in on the spray down towards the bomb, and Rush gets taken out. We've got a close game now. And for some reason, you know, when they're on the eco, it gets a lot closer for OpTic, but they are struggling on these gun rounds to slow it down. They're getting outmaneuvered, outplayed. At the moment, you know, individually, Gambit is starting to wake up a bit here.
Oh, definitely are. What a massive 1-on-2 here by Dosha, positioning himself perfectly. And they didn't really check that position all too well, OpTic. But it's one of the most common after-planted positions as well. So, it's a little bit of not the greatest play there from OpTic, but still, kudos to Dosha for getting that one. This means we're probably going to be watching a 14-14 scoreline. Well, barring that Gambit manages to lose another anti-eco, but we can't really count on that happening 3 times in a half, can we?
Can we?
That's the question. I'm asking you.
I'm just waiting to see the 3 players are going to be right now just turn around and go along for no reason. Just because of the way this game's gone, I'm just waiting for it. Hopefully, though, just Dozier does the walk up again. The Dozy-Do ends up at B. They take down Daps. Okay, nice.
Look at this Dosha. He seems to be just the master of lurking A bomb site.
He really is. Look at this position.
Wow. Hello.
Sick. Really nicely done. Daps has got himself a good spot, but with only a USPS in hand, there's little to nothing to be done. Sure enough. Doing some really good damage. I think Stan in the end was the one who picked up the kill, but on pistol rounds he's been pretty much integral, but doesn't really equate to much this round. They have the bomb plant, they have 4 alive here, and they can still send Hooch after them. He's still got the Mac 10, so he can play that role if he wants to. And actually Naf is still making it costly, which is, I guess, important at this point, but Hooch will take him down the end. I'm wondering what the money's like here. I actually don't know between Gambit at the moment. I will check myself in a second, but being lazy is much better. And Stan is trying to stay alive, 2 HP, so he needs to be very, very careful here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super pretty for them, but they will have to potentially drop 1 weapon to Dosha. But other than that, Mr. Space should be fine by himself. Stanislav is trying to save this AK with 2 HP, waiting for the bomb to go, or explode rather. And
Hasn't seen it?
wasn't he on? I thought it was.
Yeah, he was on the visible side.
Yeah, he should have been visible, I guess.
Camouflage.
I don't know.
Valve added active
Shadow
camo.
Flash, maybe. One of the most hilarious commercials about Counter-Strike I've ever seen, by the way.
Oh god. How many people even know that reference? We'll find out.
Those who do.
14-14. Alright. Naf with the AWP not Mixwell this time, so they've got a little bit of a switch up here. Mixwell soloing out on A. Now he needs to be not outdone by Dozier basically at this point. Dozier has been walking like circles around these guys. Now last time they went for this stack, they got outdone and dropped by Hooch. So OpTic, can you stop it? Let's see. Gambit have had complete control in these rounds. They've been playing it so well. Now it's time to stop it if you want to still win this game.
Dosha's been like a snake going towards that A bomb site, somehow finding a way to go through. Now he's going to be once again alone here. Decides to fall back as his teammates are setting up for a play towards the B bomb site. Looks like it's going to be for that B long, just Hooch towards the drop. Everyone else is towards the B long. They haven't really decided what to do yet though. Still got a minute left and a couple of smokes, some Molotovs and a couple of flashes to go with. So it's probably going to be that P push coming in.
Yep. Now, Daps was a little closer originally. He's pulled himself back over towards A just because of the timing, maybe assuming there'd be a wild Dozier lurking here, but Naf needs to land the shot. Nice adaptation towards Adren, but there's still 4 players watching this. Hooch a little more focused towards drop here, but here comes the play. The flash is good, but they don't catch him on the way out. He almost adjusts, but no. Mo at least punishes him, but now here comes the rest of the play. They need to be good on this. They need to be clean on this entry because there's 3 players now very attentive towards this. Hooch catches the rotate. That's Mixwell gone. And now the rest of OpTic are all focused on this site.
Stanislav all the way close, but Dosha getting that kill should be massive. Look at the HP of the two remaining OpTic players as well. Now only Daps left in a one-on-one against Hooch, who is sitting with 100 HP in the perfect position for this after-plan situation. He's going to touch the bomb, but it's not going to take it. I think Hooch already notices that no one's defusing, so he can just stay behind those boxes. Daps are going to be ready for it. You're not. Hooch is going to make it 14-14. And somehow Gambit has managed to, never mind, 15-14. My brain is not working.
It's been a long day already, don't worry.
A lot of things we've seen. I think this match
scarred now. You just get
I think this
flashbacks.
map may have just destroyed my brain. So excuse me for not knowing the numbers anymore. 15-14 for Gambit right now, and somehow they've managed to have the opportunity to close this one out.
This is impressive from Gambit to have the fortitude to do this, for one, but also terrifying that OpTic haven't been able to close out any real rounds here. They had one gun round?
Yeah,
I think
but
they won
that was the first bump round they won, and ever since they've only managed to pick up 2 eco rounds off of just sloppy play from Gambit and obviously great individual plays from players like Nafly.
Yeah.
It's not been pretty, and for Gambit, for the most part, it's been just get a pick and fly with it kind of plays. And then also, I mean, when they have had set pieces towards the A-bomb site, for example, I mean, it's definitely been something where they managed to trade off effectively. Now though, Stanislav is going to be making it a 5-on-4 to start things off, so that's a good start for OpTic.
Okay, now let's see how Gambit respond. Playing with 4 against 5, where do they go? Previously, it has been towards A, but Mixwell and Daps are still here. Now, Mixwell's going to... I hope he hears something. He's not really checking it too much. He is going to check it eventually, and actually, Daps is the one to find Dozier. Mixwell needs to land a shot here. He is struggling like crazy with that Mag 7, and Space is just going to put him down out of his misery more than anything. A bit of a side swing comes out from Adren. It looks like Gambit might just shut this one down. Adren is just going wild right now. Look at the HP, though. It's so low. Nap and Rush can still do damage. Not if they walk into a Molotov. Don't go full summit on us right now. Rush will recover an M4, but they have to go for this play. There's no way that surely Gambit will give them this.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what Gambit needs to do is not peek one by one. Instead, make sure you have multiple players on a target. Once there's a firefight, everyone needs to initiate. That's the name of the game when you're Gambit. And Fly just flashing in. It's going to be the Lone Warrior coming in Space with the last 2 kills. Somehow, we're looking at 16-14 Gambit winning this. And my mind has been blown, and I don't know what I'm watching.
I don't know. That was the weirdest game of Counter-Strike. Actually, is it for today? Is that the weirdest game we've seen? I don't know.
You know what it wasn't? Definitely wasn't a green wall on that city side from OpTic.
The green wall has crumbled, boys. The green wall is in tatters on the floor. That was just not great. Hi, Alex. Hey, bro.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm
You're
good.
right?
I guess you're coming to me soon.
Oh, we look forward to seeing you, man. It was nice checking in with you, though. You look ready. But, yeah, all in all,
What a disaster of a city side. I mean, that is what needs to be said for both teams, obviously.
Yeah, both were as bad as each other almost at that point. You saw OpTic have the fundamentals down on the T side, but then have so many flaws on the CT side that Gambit were able to just exploit it so many times.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was that they had one on playing that A-bomb side a lot of the times, and Gambit recognizing the fact they get the opening kill and just basically plow through once they get the opening kill. And that was OpTic being out of position for the better part of a lot of those rounds when the bomb gets down. And yeah, I mean, first half OpTic seemed really good, and they were playing really well off of each other. And I thought, this looks actually like actual Counter-Strike.
A solid team, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, but then to see that all crumble in the second half is just it's demoralizing to me as well as casting this.
I think we were all just saying, it's like, no. If it ever came back to us before the game was over, you'd have seen us in a bad way. But we're going to take a step outside, because I think we all need some fresh air after that one. But we will leave it to the wonderful Alex and Inastes to break down what they thought of that match.
Thanks very much. I'm ready this time for this one. Thank you very much, you guys. And what a game. Really hard to comprehend how a team can go from looking, as they said, just kind of running off of what they said, of piggybacking off that was, they looked pretty damn good. OpTic, I'm talking about OpTic on their first half, and we were sitting there thinking, oh, well, in fact, your words, Vince, were, oh, I thought this was going to be a close game. Guess I'm wrong then. Little did you know that second half was coming.
The thing is, it's the curse of the CT side on Cobblestone. Like, you lose economy a couple of times and suddenly it's just an absolute landslide. But 11-4, not to be able to close out from that, it's going to be gutting for OpTic.
And especially the weird thing about it is that 3 of the rounds they won on their CT side were eco rounds.
Right.
And not talking about, force buys, that type of thing. It's actually like we bought a Deagle or we bought, we have USPs, that's it. And we're winning rounds off of that. So just really surprising to see OpTic as you alluded to, being so well prepared on their T side falls so apart on their C side. Actually, it kind of reminded me of the Cloud9 game we saw on Cbble as well, because initially they had, I guess they had Slemmy doing a pretty good job on the A bomb side, but everything, the cohesion between Slemmy and the guys rotating over left him in a pretty sore spot, and A became a problem for C9. Here we saw kind of a similar thing with OpTic, not really being able to actually, have the proper backup in time before the A side was lost, and just an easy take for Gambit.
So this is the question I throw to you then. We saw, Slemmy having problems holding A. We've now seen OpTic have the same problems on their CT side. I know you have to stack players on B because it's so hard to hold, but what is the answer? I don't have it. And if you Vendetta were searching for it, like, what do we do? Do you just have to have an incredible player holding A? Is it all down to that one man, or is it about rotations? What are we thinking?
It could be a mixture of things. Obviously, great start to just have a really solid player on that spot, but you also need to have the proper rotation, because obviously one man can only do so much against 3-4 players from the opposing side if they actually use their nades properly to actually gain map control. But that player has to do a good job if he's not necessarily getting frags. He has to be able to stem the tide partially, step by step. So
what about leaving an AWPer there? What do we think about that?
Absolutely viable thing. So you can get go aggressive towards A halls to see if you can find an open pick, or just peek through double doors in mid there. Unfortunately, that was didn't seem to be a part of the plan for OpTic, and I'm kind of surprised that we actually didn't see tactical timeout being brought out a lot sooner. When you feel like you're losing grip of the game at that point, and start talking things over.
Any particular players for you, Vince, over on Gambit? I mean, these guys have just picked up a win versus OpTic. Was there any names that shone out, or was it just a team effort?
Team effort. I actually think going through into the other side on OpTic, I highlighted Mixwell as a player I expected to step up. I think he finished with 11 or 12 kills.
I think the last round was a pretty good kind of image of how his game went.
It was really poor performance.
Yeah, and that's not something you expect. He's been pretty good for them so far, and if he's not necessarily topping the boards or anything like that, he's at least getting important frags here and there that leads to OpTic winning rounds. And in the very last round there, we saw him in the Mag 7 in danger, having a bit of a struggle actually getting anything done. And I think that just kind of gives you a nice picture of how his game went.
Yeah, and of course we're expecting big things. He's one of those names you mentioned when you talk about the hard hitters of OpTic. We'll see more from the Spaniard a little later on. Of course, it's just one game a day for these teams. And now it's time to talk to the one, the only Hooch. He's hanging out with Mitch, and we're going to be seeing how he has to say about what is most definitely a hard-earned victory. Hooch is crazy.
That it was an insanely close one here as well. Hooch has bounded up to me after the game and definitely looking quite excited. He said that was an exciting game to me before I even opened my mouth. So let's start with that, dude. Obviously, both you guys struggled on your CT sides here. You had your CT side up in the first half, which made it look like you guys were really falling behind very quickly. Obviously, that wasn't the case in the end. But talk to us a little bit through that first half for you guys and what you were working through and what maybe wasn't working so well.
First of all, Cbble is a team map, in my opinion, and it's decided. Then we were really, I think, prepared for their rounds. We knew that they're gonna play this pistol round and first gun round, but we just couldn't adapt and get our kills. So it was quite hard to get the kills and rounds. But when we saw that we took 4 rounds, I said it's gonna be enough that we can win, and just we played our game ST and closed it. But we lost to Stupidicus, but we still stayed strong, so it paid off.
Yeah, obviously you did mention when you came up there were a couple ecos you guys weren't happy about, or anti-eco should I say, you weren't happy about losing. Let's talk about Space here as well. Obviously because, we have seen there's been some changes with some of the CIS teams. He's now come in for Waylander, who was in, I think, almost the initial Gambit roster when he came back from his military service in Finland. So tell us a bit about how Space fits into the team. Does he fill a gap, or does he create his own kind of space in the team?
Of course, he make an own space in the team, and he's a young player, and he bring new atmosphere in our team. Waylander was really good, but we just didn't work together. I don't know how to explain it. And Space is he didn't have a good teams before, but he played good at CIS events, so we thought he can play good. But still, it's early to say something because we played just one game. But this game, he said, "I'm gonna hit 20 frags," and he did it. So he's a man of the world.
Man of his word indeed. Hey, let's talk about this format as well, because we haven't spoken to many teams about it, but obviously it's very different to what you're maybe used to playing with the Swiss, of course, 1 best of 1 a day. Can you share any thoughts or insights you have about having, I guess, played 1 day of that so far?
Well, I think this system is quite nice because teams have more chances to qualify, and you should prepare for all 15 teams, not like for 3 teams. You're gonna play in the group, and it's good for young teams in best of 1 because they can make some good results. For example, Fluffy Gangsters was really good against Mouse Sports, and Empire was playing quite good at the beginning. So I think this system is nice, and I enjoy it.
So far from what we've seen, who do you think is the strongest looking CIS team after day 1?
Oh, I can say so. I don't like talking about my team, but today Flipside and that's won. HR is half CIS team, but they won as well. 2 teams showed quite good results, especially Fluffy Gangsters. I hope they're going to play better tomorrow, and I hope for a better results for us tomorrow too. Just like that.
Well, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow as well, Hooch. So thanks for joining me, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on camera. Well, there it is. And we do have just a couple games to go, but what an upset there as well. The lead that OpTic had squandered away in the second half. But now we're going to go to a break, and when we return, it's going to be a bit of an EU El Clasico, as it were. 2 teams that have had plenty of games against each other in recent times. It's going to be Dignitas versus FaZe Clan.